Maybe that makes sense. Okay.
Yes.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Elul 5785, Tafshin Pei Hey. Welcome to our new shir of Kol Neshama, where we're going to learn Mishnayos, a Perek a day. Why do I not see myself on the screen? Let's see. There we go. Um, we're going to take a journey through Mishnayos. Why am I starting today? Because yesterday I just made my siyum on Shach Mishnayos for a cycle that I started on Purim of 2024. I did a Perek a day, every day, since Purim 2024. Never missed one day. And last night was my siyum with Hashem. Very exciting to say the word Hadron Alach, say that to Haris B'Shisa Siddur Mishna. That's a very powerful line. And today we're starting fresh. They're starting fresh with Brachos. And my goal in this Kabura, this shir, this initiative is to do a Perek a day, every day, 6 days a week. Use Chazara for Shabbos. We're not going to record on Shabbos, obviously. Shabbos and Yom Tov will be for Chazara, and pick it up after Shabbos on Sunday. Daf Yomi doesn't allow any days for Chazara. Hashem, we're going to create our own system over here, and we're going to have Shabbos as a day of Chazara. So that's on your own. But this is very exciting. Anyway, so let's get into it. Today's shir is sponsored in memory of Aaron Nachman and Simcha HaKohen, and the Ilay Nishmas Yeshua Mordechai ben Shepsel, Brachos Sarah Bas Shmuel Leib, Binyamin Moshe ben Yosef, and Refuah Shlema for Abigail Bas Edo Bela Malka. May the Neshamas have an aliyah, and may the Cholim have Refuah Shlema B'Charav Mamish. I was also the Nishmas, my parents, Baruch ben Yitzchak Mechel, Eli Basar Bas Yisrael. Neshamas have an aliyah. I have about a million reasons and excuses why I shouldn't be doing this, but I am. I'm afraid of public speaking. I've been stuttering all my life, and I got another whole bunch of reasons why I should be doing this. But Hashem gave me an opportunity. Now is the time to step into. Let's see. Yeah, can everybody put themselves on mute, please? Everyone can put themselves onto mute, please. That'd be really helpful. I'm not sure how to do that. Let's see. How do you do this? How do you do that? Oh. I don't know. Okay, if everyone could please put themselves onto mute, that'd be really helpful. Thank you. I have to figure out how to do this later. So where was I? Okay, anyways, let's just get into this. So Mishnayos, where did Mishnayos come from? Mishnayos is Torah Shabbat Peh. Torah Shabbat Peh came from Har Sinai, and Moshe Rabbeinu gave us Torah Shabbat Peh as much as he gave us Torah Shabbat Ksav. And Torah Shabbat Peh was all about Peh. It wasn't until after Chorim Bayis Sheni that people were forgetting things. And Rabbi Yehuda Nasi came, stepped forward and says, we have to write this down and preserve this on paper for all of Klal Yisrael, because otherwise we're not going to have the Torah Shabbat Peh anymore. And he codified the Torah Shabbat Peh into the Mishnayos. That was the foundation for Torah Shabbat Peh. The Gemara came from that. All the Mishonim, Achronim, they're all part of Torah Shabbat Peh. And everything else that's not in Torah Shabbat Ksav is Torah Shabbat Peh. And it really came at a time that was troubling for Klal Yisrael, and he brought light to a very dark gullus. So the first there are six dar in Mishnayos. The first one is Zeraim, which is where we're starting with, and Zeraim is all about the agricultural laws that apply in Eretz Yisrael. They apply in Eretz Yisrael, but starting with Zeraim, the first part of Zeraim is Brachos. Why is Brachos part of Zeraim? Because you need to know what Brachos to say before you even partake of the goods of the land. You're going to be blessed with all of the fruits and vegetables and grains from Eretz Yisrael. What bracha do you make on them? And how do you give thanks to Hashem Baruch Hu for them? So you start with the brachos. The brachos starts off with Shema. Why is Maseches Brachos start off with Shema? And the first Perek is all talking about Kriya Shema. It starts with Kriya Shema Shalayla. Because Kriya Shema is a mitzvah that's nogeya to every single person, every single day. Men, women, children, they say Shema twice a day, every single day without any exception. Morning and evening, twice in 24 hours, we are saying Shema. So it's Rabbi Yehuda Nasi started off Mishnayos with Shema. Let's get into the first Mishnah. From when do we recite the Shema in the evening? From the time that the Kohanim would go and eat the Truma in the Beis Hamikdash. Those Kohanim that were Tamei, that they were Tamei from, that they were Tamei and they became Tahar. So they went to the mikveh by day, but they were not fully tahor until they had Erev Shemesh, until the sunset. So they were in the quasi mode. From the time they went to the mikveh on the day of the purification, they were not fully tahor. They were classified as a tful yom, and they were not fully tahor 100% until nightfall, until Seiset al-Chavim, when that would complete the purification process, and now they could go eat truma and go be fully reinstated as fully tahor. And what would that go until? That the zman of being truma, as the Gemara tells us, is Seiset al-Chavim. So where would that go until? According to the Mishna, according to Rabbi Lezer, that goes until end of the first watch. There were different watches in the Beis Hamikdash. Some say 3, some say 4. That's in the Gemara. But if it was 3, then you take the Shalosh Mishnayos of 12 hours, divide it into 3 parts, and each Hashmara is 4 hours. According to the one that says that's 12, that's 4 watches. That each Hashmara is 3 hours. Divrei Rabbi Eliezer. That's according to Rabbi Eliezer. So he says that the first watch is the end of the Zman of Kriya Shema for night. The Chachamim say, Ad Chatzos, that the Zman for Kriya Shema Shamarev, for Arvis, goes until Chatzos, until midnight. Where Gamliel says, Gamliel was the Nasi of the Sanhedrin when it was in Yavne. He was the one who was later deposed and was replaced by Elazar ben Azariah, who's coming up just a few Mishnayos. So he says, Ad Shiyale Amud Hashach, until, you can say Kriya Shema until dawn, until right before sunrise, the end of the night. There's a Maisa Shabbat Banu Beis Hamikdash. So the sons of Gamliel came home from a chasna. Amrulo, and they said to their father, Lo Karina Shema, we didn't say Shema yet, what should we do? Amrulo, He said to them, Im lo ala amud shachar, if amud shachar hasn't yet come upon us, hayavin atem likros, and you have an obligation to read the nighttime shema. You can still read it until the night. And he continues, it's not only that, not only is it applied to Krishma, that anything that the Chachamim put a safeguard to do until Chatzos, mitzvasan ashiyala amud shachar. The mitzvah is until dawn. For example, hekter chalav ve'var. When they brought karbanos in the base of Mikdash, so they brought the karbanos all day, but at the end of the day, after the time of Shabbat Harbayim, they had all the remaining fats and limbs that piled up throughout the whole day. So all of those fats and limbs were burned on this Mizbeach throughout the entire night. So hekter chalav ve'varim mitzvahs tenach yalim v'rashachet. Their mitzvah was to burn them throughout the entire night. V'chol hanachalim yom echad mitzvahs tenach yalim v'rashachet. And karbanos, so you had one day and one night, like a chatas and an asham, which is one day, one night. Really, you could eat them until Mudashach. So give us the three examples of this. The Imke, he continues, why did the Chachamim give us the mandate to do all these mitzvahs, which could have been done until Mudashach, to do it by Chatzos? We don't want people. We want people to not be drawn into sin. Because people are gonna forget. They say, okay, I can wake up early. I wake up early every morning. I could say Shema at 4:00 in the morning. I'm gonna be good for the night. And the next morning, he wakes up at 6:30. Mrs. does not create. So get the mitzvah done before Chatzos, and move on. And safeguard yourself from missing out on the mitzvah. I wanted to share. So it's very interesting with this Mishnah, why the Mishnah opens up with the word me'emasa. The Mishnayos were meant to be balped, and they're written down. But if it was balped, then it should have been written in shorthand. So why is the Mishnah starting off with a long word? Me'emasa. You could use the word masai, 3 letters shorter. Or emasai, it's 5 letters. Me'emasa is 6 letters. What's going on over here? So the Medrash Talpios says that the gematria of Me'emasai is 501. 501 is the gematria of Asher. And Asher, or the Shvatim, he sits by the entrance of Gehenna, and anyone who learns the Mishnayos is saved from going into Gehenna. And that's the schus of Asher from 501. But I also wanted to share a machshava that I had with this Mishnah, and that is why we're starting with Kriya Shema. Because Kriya Shema is all about Emunah. Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad. It's all about Emunah and Bitachon and HaKadosh Baruch Hu. When do we need Emunah the most? We say every Shabbos, Hagi Ba'Boger Chazdecha V'Vascha Ba'Leilos. We strengthen our Emunah when it's dark, when times are tough, when there's challenges in the world, when we're in Golos. And being that the Mishnayos was written down at the time of the Chor basically shortly after the Chor Bayis Sheni, we were in a time of Golos, we were in a time of darkness, and we needed a boost in our Emunah. So you start with Kriya Shema Sha'aris, Chazit the Emunah right at the beginning of Shas, the beginning of this journey, and you declare Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad. We believe and we trust in everything that Hashem does for us, and we go weiter. Why does it say that just say Tzedek HaChavim. So my machshava is because at the start of the Golis, at the start of Shas, when you're when you're when you're when you're when you're strengthening an amuna, you have to know that even though you're in Golis now, you're still looking back to the base of English. But you must in the base of English. You must hear the base of English every single night, and it's a chizuk to go through Golis and to have that hope and have that amuna that there's going to be a third base of English someday. Let's go to Mishnah Beis. So when do we read the Shema in the morning? We just spoke about the nighttime Shema. Now we're going to talk about the daytime Shema. When you can distinguish between blue wool and white wool. The tzitzis are wool, right? So you can distinguish between the blue strings and the white strings. Back when there was no light pollution and dark was dark, now it doesn't apply nowadays because we have plenty of light pollution out there. But when it was dark, it was dark. Rabbi Eliezer Omer, the Karsi. Rabbi Eliezer says that when you can distinguish between blue and green, it's green the color of leeks. Because blue and green is much harder to decipher than blue and white. Blue and white are more contrasty colors, and blue and green are more difficult. So it's going to be a later Zman to start the Kriya Shema by Shacharis when you can actually distinguish between blue and green. When does the Zman of Kriya Shema finish? In the morning with Gamra Ad HaNetzach, and it ends by sunrise. So it's a very short window when you can say Shema in the morning, according to Rabbi Eliezer. Rabbi Yeshua says, Ad Shalosh Shalos. You can say it until the third hour of the day. Why? Shekain derech b'nei malachim ma'amo b'shalosh shalos. Because the princes who have not too much on their agenda, they get up late. The working guys get up at the crack of dawn. But the king has to get up early. But the prince who lives in the palace, he has a life of luxury. He's getting 3 hours into the day. So that's still considered bikumecha. Shachachal kumecha. It's the time that they get up. Akari mikan ve'elach. From if you're reading Shema after the third hour, according to Rabbi Yeshua, you don't lose out. Because it's as if someone is reading in the Torah and he still gets the schar of Limud Torah. Obviously, it's not the best because the best would be doing it at the proper zman. Mishnah Gimel, Beis Shammai Omer. Beis Shammai says, Be'erev Yatu, Be'erev Kol Adam Yatu Chvikro. Beis Shammai was of the opinion that in the evening, everyone should lie on their sides and recite Shema. Uba Boker, in the morning, Yamdu, they should stand up. Why? Why do you say that? It says that when you lie down, when you rise. So Beis Shammai took that quite literally. It means that at night you actually lie down and say Shema. And in the morning you actually stand up and say Shema. And Beis Hillel says no. Kol Adam Kari Kadar. Everyone can read the Shema however they want. You want to stand, you want to sit, you want to lie, whatever you want. Because it says you can go on the way. When you go on the way, which implies you can say Shema even while you're walking. There's no requirement to say it laying down or standing up. So why, if that's true, then why does it say when you lay down or when you get up? So Mishnah continues, It's at the time that people are going to sleep. And at the time that people are waking up in the morning. So when most people are going to sleep at night, that's when you say the nighttime Shema. And when people are waking up in the morning, that's when you say the morning Shema. So Rabbi Tarfon says, another story. Before Mishnah, we had the story of Rabbi Gamliel, now we have a story with Rabbi Tarfon. I was traveling on the road, it came time to the nighttime Shema. And I laid down to, I stopped my travels and I laid down on the road in order to say Shema under the guidelines of Abei Shammai. And I put myself in danger because there were robbers and bandits on the road, when I was lying down. Chacham said to him, Kedai Hayisa Lachob Asmacha Shavarta Al Tiri Beisila. You should have had harm before you because you transgressed the opinion of Beis Hillel. Let's see, passing like Beis Hillel is manazet, and we're going to switch to Beis Shammai. You violated the word of Beis Hillel. You did it dangerously, and therefore you should have been killed. Had you been killed, it would have been your fault. I'm kind of wondering, I don't even know if I speculate whether Beis Shammai really intended for someone with their life in danger to say Shema. I don't know. I find that hard to believe. It sounds like, if you're in your own house, you lie down, you say Shema, according to Beis Shammai. I don't know. I don't really hear that saying Shema with lying down on the roadway would have been endorsed by Beis Shammai, but that's something to think about. Mishnah Dalet continues. B'shachar mevarich shtayim, about the Brachos Kriyishma. In the morning, we say two brachos. Shtayim lefanev, achas lacharev. Two brachos before we say Shema, and one afterwards. We say Yotze Ma'oros. It starts from Yotze Or Uvar Choshech, and that's Yotze Ma'oros. It's actually the longest bracha that we say every day. That's a very, very long bracha. And the second bracha is the Hava Rabbah or Havas Olam if you down the sword. But as of Bracha Hashem, Abucha B'Yam Yisod B'Yava, and one bracha afterwards, Achas Acharev, which is Gal Yisrael. There's also a long bracha, think about it. And in the evening, according to the Mishnah, you have two brachas beforehand, which is Hamari, Ravim, and Oev, Amo Yisrael. And you have two brachas that are afterwards, which are Gal Yisrael and Shomer Amo Yisrael or Aporesh Shukah Shalom, which is on Shabbos Yom. Interesting here that the bracha of bracha Shem Olam is not endorsed by the Mishnah, and that's why some people don't say it. Achas Aruka v'Achas Tzara. One of the blessings, one of the two blessings before Shema in the morning and in the evening is long, and the other one is short. The long one is Yotzor, Choshech, and the shorter one is Haboch B'Amo Yisod B'Yava. Interesting that we say Yotzei Or Choshech Oseh Shalom Uvariyas Hakol, that he makes peace. In every cottage we say Oseh Shalom Ben Romav, that he makes peace amongst us, right? That peace is essential. If you have peace, you have everything. If you don't have peace, you have nothing. You have you have everything in the world. If you don't have peace in your home, peace in your life, peace in general, then you have nothing. peace is most important. That's why we say the bracha every single day. Let's say shalom, shalom. When you have peace, then you have everything else. So, anyways, Malcolm Sha'amula, where the Chachamim say that we are to recite a long blessing. Eina Rashad Katz, then you cannot shorten it. The Katzer, Eina Rashad Harith. And where they said to say a shorter bracha, Eina Lachtom, Eina Sorry. And then you have no rishus to make it longer. Lachtom, where the Chachamim said that we are to end a bracha with Brachos Hashem, you have no right to switch it up. And when the Chachamim said that we are not to end the bracha with that phrase, then you cannot add an ending, meaning that you have the right to say the words that the Chachamim had set up for you, and you have no right to change them for whatever reason you want. It just doesn't happen. That's why you don't see people skipping the Brachos Kriyashma so often. You see people skip Tachanan, but that's more of a leniency according to some people. But you don't see people skipping the Brachos Kriyashma or modifying them. Okay, let's go on with Mishnah Hey. We'll stop for today. Maskirin. So now we spoke about the evening Shema. We spoke about the daytime Shema. We spoke about how to say it, and then we spoke about the Brachos Kriya Shema. And then we'll go into a famous Mishnah which comes to light by the Pesach Seder. Maskirin Yisiyas Mitzrayim Baleilos. We mentioned the Yisiyas Mitzrayim at night by reciting the third paragraph of Shema because you're supposed to say it every night. So Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah. Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah, as I mentioned earlier, he became the Nasi of the yeshiva of the Sanhedrin and yeshiva in Yavne temporarily, and then he had to split it again with Rabbi Gamliel. So he said, "Hare ani kiven shana." I am like a man of 70 years old. Really, he was 18 when he was appointed to the Nasi, and overnight he grew. His beard turned white. It went from a dark beard, from a young guy, into a white beard, so that he had the appearance of a zaken. That's what it says. Kiven Shana wasn't actually 70, but he had the appearance of a 70-year-old. Ad Shadash ben Zoma, and he could not win over he didn't have the schus to win over his colleagues to accept his opinion that the Yisiyas Mitzrayim should be said at night as well. Until Ben Zoma came around. And he darshed the pasuk Shenamar Leman Tiskor as Yom Seischon Eretz Yisrael Kol Yemei Chayav. Right? Did you remember the day when you came out of Mitzrayim, all the days of your life? Yemei Chayav Hayamim. So what does it mean, Yemei Chayav? It means the days. So what's Kol Yemei Chayav? Kol Yemei Chayav Haleilos. And all the days of your life refer to the nights. And the extra word call in there. The Chachamim say, Yemei Chayecha al Mazer, Kol Yemei Chayecha al Havi Moshe Mashiach. Right? The Chachamim say, no, that Yemei Chayecha means this world. All the days of your life in this world. Kol Yemei Chayecha includes, that extra word call includes the messianic time, when Mashiach comes, we're still going to be maskis in this right, even though the nisim and the flows of the third geula are going to be greater than anything we saw by in Mitzrayim. But even so, we're still going to be maskis in Mitzrayim, even after Mashiach comes as well. That is Perek Aleph, which Hashem will do Perek base tomorrow. I'm going to stop the recording now. If you have any questions,